Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some things. I hope you've been doing well. I hope everyone is staying healthy, and sane, most importantly. But with the COVID thing, I figure we all have a lot more time to look at things, to research on things. I know we're all spending time with our families and loved ones. Well, hopefully, some of us aren't, but yours truly is, and I'm thankful for that. I've been having different conversations with, excuse me, some people. And throughout the course of the conversation, we had a name come up. And I had no idea about this, even though this is not very long ago. Tamla Horsford. So while you're at home and you might have some extra time or a lot of extra time, you might even be bored out of your skull. And you might want a little distraction from the whole COVID coronavirus shenanigans, the Teenage Mutant Ninja COVID virus, as my Twitter wifey Bexy says. If you want a little distraction, I think this is a worthwhile here. Tamla Horsford. So, in a nutshell, and I'm still not done researching everything, but basically, this is a very strange case. I believe she was murdered in 2018. And this did not get any news attention, any kind of attention, until later on down the road when some people got behind it. So, I know that racism is a big issue, and I know that some people are tired of it. Some people do feel like people always want to pull the race card. And sometimes that does happen, but in this case, I wanna invite you to take a closer look at this because this happened in a town called Forsyth, Georgia. Forsyth, Georgia. And the history of that area there, the whole county actually, it was a whole county that had a racial cleansing. And I think there might be some genocide up in there too. What happened was they drove out all of the black people out of that county after a couple of white women were found beaten and raped, and one of them died later after her injuries. So, it was alleged that it was a black dude that did it. So they went after all the black men, basically, all the black people. They wanted them all out. The story was that they were afraid that the blacks were going to start raping the white women or there might be an uprising. They were afraid that the blacks there were getting out of line, so to speak, right? So take a look at this. This is really scary. I had no idea. I knew there was racism in America. I knew there was slavery. When I came to this country, I was in a southern state in Alabama, and it was just the racism. Everyone wore it on their sleeves, and it was nauseating to me because while in Germany there is racism, and of course, we have the horrible history of the Nazis. It was different. It wasn't constantly blacks and whites and black this and white this and the white man and the black man and this stuff. It wasn't constantly in your face and talked about and thrown in your face every day like in America, especially in the deep south. Forsyth drove out all of the blacks there. Not only that, but what they did was they took the women and children, they told them to get out. They had 24 hours to get out, sometimes less. And they waited till the men were away. They drove the children and the women out, shot the dogs, and hung the men. And then they took their property and their land and their homes and their businesses. You see? So take a look at that. This was in June 2019, New York Times. They did a report on that, a story on it. So keep that in mind as you're looking up the story on Tamla Horsford, okay? Because for over 100 years, there were no black people allowed in that county. Even after you had all the laws change and all that, the laws are one thing, but socially and culturally, if people don't change or live by a law, then the laws really don't mean anything, right? So I think for about 100 years, there were no blacks. And this was considered a sundown town, a sundown county, sundown town. I had no idea what that was until a few days ago. So here's what a sundown town is. A sundown town is, or a county, or an area. It can even be a neighborhood. A sundown town is basically an area where there are no black people allowed, and probably no people of any color other than good old southern white, snow lily white. Okay, so anybody that has a little bit of color, Mexican, Japanese, Korean, or even if you're a mixed, multicultural person, they consider you as quote unquote colored. Even Jewish are considered colored in some of these areas, okay? And they could be just as white as snow as the white people there, but because they're Jewish, they're colored, okay? And these towns are sundown towns. They don't let any blacks live there. And if you're black, you better not be caught in that town after sundown. Will you be in trouble? You'll get hung or shot. Is that enough trouble for you? So keep that in mind as you're doing your research on Tamla Horsford. So what I want you to look at, a couple of things here. They ruled the whole sheriff's office, the whole area there is crooked. What the whole synopsis is that this was a football mom, a soccer mom. Her sons were, I guess, in Little League football or something. And she was friends with the other football moms there. And they decided to have a slumber party. Now I know little girls have slumber parties, but I didn't know that adult women had slumber parties. This was a football mom slumber party, but the thing was there were 3 men there too, which is kind of strange. I've never heard of that, but okay. She was the only black there at the party, which isn't really unusual in of itself, I guess. But taking into account that she was in Forsyth, Georgia, I hope I'm saying that name right. Forsyth is 30 minutes away outside of Atlanta, Georgia. She was the only African American there. And she ended up dying in a very strange way. Now, supposedly, at first they said it was because of alcohol toxicity. And then they said it was because she fell off the balcony. That killed her. But the only problem with that is that there was no pool of blood and there were post-mortem injuries. And she fell 15 feet. Now, this house was just surrounded by all kinds of alarm system equipment, cameras. Somehow there isn't any film available. There were cameras galore all around the house. This was in a nicer area. I think they might have had a little more money too, these people. So you can imagine that they had a really, really good alarm system with cams and electric sensors on the doors and windows. But for some reason, nobody really knew what she was up to or how she got that way. They were all, I guess, asleep, right? Right. Now, one of the men that was at that party was also an employee of the legal system there. And he ended up accessing important legal records that he wasn't supposed to, that had to do with him, because he was part of that murder case. He was at that party. And he dug up information. Now, why did he do that? He ended up getting fired, but then they rehired him in another position in the same organization, the same court system, same legal system there, law enforcement system. Interesting, 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 right? Gets better. Her friend, Tamla's friend, I forget her name. You'll find out. I think her last name is Susan Graves or something like that. She was wanting answers because there was these discrepancies, and she was really making it known. She wanted to find answers to what happened to her friend. Her family believes she was murdered. I believe she was murdered. I don't know what you'll think. I'd love for you to look this up and maybe leave a comment and let me know. But in any case, I'm going to tag this video to COVID, because COVID gets a lot of attention right about now, and I think this case needs a lot of attention right now. I don't think justice has been done. That's my opinion from what I've gathered so far. I'm still doing research, but I wanted to put this out here because this needs to get more attention. This does not need to be forgotten about. This wasn't going to be given any attention in the first place. And this is nothing, this is not an exceptional case. This is something that happens all the time. And black women, African American women, are being killed off. They're being hurt and abused, and it's being swept under the rug because nobody cares. There's a huge apathy when it comes to African American women and the things that they have to endure. And we know this from the R. Kelly situation. Even many people in the African American community seem to look at African American women in a certain way, which really needs to change. We really need to look at what all people are going through, regardless of their cultural background. But in any case, check out the 911 call. When you go look this up, Google Tamla Horsford 911 and listen to that audio. I'm telling you, that has got to be the most calmest 911 call I have ever heard for someone who just died or got killed in your home. Your friend is dead on your front lawn or back lawn, and you're just as calm as a cucumber. You are just conversing with the 911 operator just as matter of factly as you're talking about the weather. And then when the guy comes on, he's the same way. They couldn't even get these people to check if she was dead or if she had a pulse. They would not touch her. And when the 911 operator kept asking, well, does she have a pulse? Is she alive? She looks stiff. They would not even go check if she was alive. Now, why would they not do that unless they already knew she was dead? Okay. There was a couple of other things I wanted to tell you about it. Oh, yeah. When Tamla's friend, I think her name was Susan Graves, was making that big fuss about, I want to know what really happened. We need more answers. I want to know what happened to my friend. The guy that was there at the party that also works in the court system, he's still employed by the court system to this day, I think, there. He used his access in the court to get her info, her private info, and pass it around to the other people that were at the party. Now, why would you do that if you weren't guilty? If you weren't worried, why would you risk your job to access information on this lady that's trying to find out what happened to Tamla, her friend, and then send that, her name, her address, anything he could get on her, and give that and share that to all the other people that were at the party? Why would you do that? That's really strange. So there are some strange things. There's a lot more to this. So I think it's worth your time to look at this. I like to investigate different kinds of legal cases. And this is one that I think deserves a lot more attention. So take a look at the case of Tamla Horsford. A Georgia mother of 5 dies, leaving a trail of questions. Trail of questions. I don't trust Snopes.com. They're not credible people to me because I think it's a husband and wife team. And I think the wife is like an ex-hooker or an ex-escort or some kind of sex worker or something like that. I don't know why they have Snopes as a authority site, but anyway, look at these other ones too, okay? Sheriff's office case filed in Forsyth County. Check this case out. Tell me what you think. I wanted to put this out there. This is one of the things I'm researching today. There's a couple of other things I'm researching, but Tamla Horsford, we need to have more discussion about this. We really do need to have more awareness about this, and I invite you to kind of dig around. Let me know what you find. Let me know your thoughts if you feel like it. All right, guys. I might do another video. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.